Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to start my mid-month book bash vlog. As you can see by my backdrop, I'm not at home. I'm in a hotel room. Yes, I am. It's Friday the 13th, and I am in a hotel in Bangor. And yeah, I am doing some Christmas shopping today and going out with some friends tonight, and then, you know, more Christmas shopping tomorrow. So doing the whole Christmas thing, but I wanted to start this vlog and talk about what books I'll be reading this weekend. Basically, I have two on the go at the moment. I have a fiction. I have With No One Is Witness by Elizabeth George. This is a book in the Inspector Lynley detective series. English mystery novels that I'm buddy reading with Britta Bowler, and I don't even remember which number this one is. It's like early teens, and this is a serial killer novel, so they're trying to figure out this serial killer, and I'm probably 2/3 of the way into it, and I need to finish this up this weekend, and so I have about 200 pages left to go, so I am going to be focusing on this. I am also currently listening to No Ordinary Time by Doris Kearns Goodwin, which is nonfiction, and it is about Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt during the period of World War II. Excellent. I'm sort of listening to it on audio and also reading the physical copy. I didn't bring the physical copy with me this weekend, so I am listening to it on audio. I'm about halfway through that one. So, and then I may start, depending. I brought another nonfiction with me to possibly start this weekend. This is Cull of the Wild, Killing in the Name of Conservation by Hugh, Warwick. And this was sent to me by the publisher. So this is published by Bloomsbury Wildlife. So I have been very interested in this because invasive species are something that I deal with in my job. So I am interested to read what this author has to say about this. So yeah, that's what's on the go. Two currently reading, one potentially will pick up this weekend. We shall see, and I will check in with you when I have something to report. Hello, it is Sunday, and I have finished a book on this mid-month book bash vlog, finally. I finished With No One Is Witness by Elizabeth George. This is a Detective Thomas Lynley mystery series, and in this installment, which is like midway through the series, it's like early teens in the number of books that we've gotten into. This one is featuring Detective Lynley and his team trying to track down a serial killer. And the serial killer is targeting young boys in London. And it's really, really dark. There are so many red herrings in here. The relationships between our main characters that we've been following along, like Barbara Havers, who's Detective Lynley's basically next in command, his assistant, I guess you would say, the police constable that helps him solve these mysteries. And then Winston Nakata, who is also, he's just made rank, and he is helping Lindley and Havers, and then a broader team of police officers who are trying to track down the serial killer. It is so good. There are so many red herrings. The plot lines are very complex. There's several different plot lines that we're following. We do get to see Lindley interact with the other three main characters that we've been following along: his wife Helen, his best friend St. James, and St. James's wife Deborah. They all play a role in this story as well. I cannot get into any more than that because it would be huge spoilers for the series as a whole. But this book was so emotionally impactful. I was just at the edge of my seat. The last third of this book, I will just tell you, if you are into these mystery books in this series, and you get to 2/3 of the way in, make sure you have plenty of time, because you are not putting the book down until you get to the very last page. That's how exciting and stuff's happening, and you want to know what's going to happen at the end. It's emotional. Like all of the feels. But don't be fooled. Do not think that Elizabeth George is writing cozy mysteries. These are not in any way cozy. I would say this one veers more towards a thriller. It does involve themes around pedophilia, so just be aware of that before you go into it. There's lots of violence on the page, so be aware of that. Just excellent book. Really enjoyed my time with this. Sat down when I got home from Bangor yesterday afternoon and just plowed through the rest of this before I went to bed last night. So that was a very successful book read for Mid-Month Book Bash. I am still working on No Ordinary Time, the book about Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt. Been listening to that mostly on audiobook and making progress there as well. I don't know. I probably will start something new today, but I'm not sure what yet. So stay tuned for that update. Okay, let's do an update on my mid-month book bash reading. It is Monday afternoon. So it is work day. I'm taking a short break, but I wanted to note that I have made excellent progress in No Ordinary Time, Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt, The Home Front in World War II by Doris Kearns Goodwin. This is my current nonfiction read for my presidential reading project. This is the second book that I've been reading about Franklin Roosevelt. And this one is really good in that, sorry for the glare there, I'm trying to get the last bit of natural light before the sun goes down for the day. This one's really great because it very specifically focuses on Eleanor and Franklin as individuals, their personalities, what they were like, and also their relationship with each other. They had a very non-traditional marriage, particularly for the time in the 1930s and 40s. And there was a constant push and pull between the two of them. They had a great deal of affection and respect for each other, but they also tended to hurt each other very badly. And that is all against the backdrop of World War II playing out and all the stress inherent of being at war and trying to mobilize the country to fight the war and all of that stuff. Eleanor Roosevelt is a particular hero of mine, and there have been a time or two reading this book that I have been irritated with Doris Kearns Goodwin's sort of take on Eleanor's personality and the mistakes that she made in her marriage, when I feel that the bulk of the blame for the problems in their marriage has to lay with Franklin. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think people probably know that Franklin was not faithful to his wife, and that really colored their relationship, even though they had, like I said, a great deal of affection and respect for each other. Some things can't be forgotten, is all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, they just had a very interesting relationship, and they both used the White House as like a rooming house for their friends and acquaintances. So there was always like this revolving door of people who were like living semi-permanently at the White House that were either friends or more than friends of either Eleanor or Franklin. So yeah, really getting a lot of this, and plus seeing the World War II events through the eyes of this personal relationship is really, really interesting and fantastic. So I am on page 490 of about 635 pages of text before you get to all the notes at the end. So I am, 2/3 of the way through this one, which is great. Making excellent progress. Like I said, I've been audiobooking and physically reading this one. So just going back and forth. So very much enjoying my time with that book. I did yesterday pick up and start reading the next book in the Dark Tower series that I had to read. This is Wizard and Glass, book 4 by Stephen King. So this is a dark fantasy taking place following the adventures of Roland the Gunslinger as he gathers around him a group of people to help him find the Dark Tower. They have to complete this quest, so it's like a road trip in a sort of somewhere between fantastical and futuristic world that parallels Earth, or the Earth that we know. And in fact, in this particular installment, we have a version of Topeka, Kansas. And as in lots of Stephen King books, there are references to other books. I've just read a section that references The Stand, so that was really fun. I can't really talk about particular details of this because it is the 4th book in a series, and they're all like just basically one big story. This book continues on immediately where you leave book 3, at the end of book 3. I will say it's really interesting that the very first part of this book, the gunslinger and his companions are dealing with an AI, basically, a entity that has artificial intelligence, and their interactions with this particular entity, I think, are really interesting, knowing that this book was written in the 1990s and we're in 2024. All the current, hand-wringing and excitement about the future of AI and what that means for all of us humans. I think this is really interesting to read at this particular point in time. So I'm 100 pages in this 900-page fantasy novel. So it reads very quickly, though. This particular edition has like really large font and lots of white space, which is nice to have a book like that to read. And then lastly, I picked up and read the introduction of Cull of the Wild, Killing in the Name of Conservation by Hugh, Warwick. This is nonfiction biology about invasive species and populations that the humans consider, too large, and how we handle that, and different conservation activities that might. Basically, this gets into the philosophy of whether or not it's okay to cull a species, even if that species is invasive and is perhaps hurting a native species. Do we have the right to eradicate any species? Don't all species have the inherent right to be alive? And the fact of the matter is, humans have altered the environment so greatly that what is natural anymore, what is native anymore, and when it comes to species and the ranges that they exist within. So like I said, I just read the first bit of this, the introduction, so like the first 30 pages, and it gets into like basically the premise behind all of this, and now each chapter is going to be an example of a particular species. So far, so good with this one. Again, this one was sent to me by Bloomsbury Wildlife to read and talk about on my channel. So I will be doing that in the coming weeks. So that's where I am with Mid-Month Book Bash. I will, like I said, it's the middle of the afternoon, so I may do one more check-in before we wrap this one up. Hello, I'm here to close out the Mid-Month Book Bash vlog. I did get a little bit more reading done yesterday in Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. I read another 65 pages of this book number 4 in the Dark Tower series, and it is, very entertaining. Stephen King can tell a story. So yeah, just continuing to enjoy some time spent in a good story this month. So that's it. It is Tuesday, so it is time to close this out. I hope I hope that I will get a chance to do some more reading and maybe some more vlogging this month, but we shall see if that actually happens. December is always a super busy month for me, as it is, I'm sure, for many of you as well. I hope you're all doing well and reading some great books. I'll talk to you later.